Good morning, everybody. My name's Ian, and I'm the owner of Right Start Newcomer Services. So welcome to today's Learn Canadian English live stream. And today we've got a great show. We're going to talk about work because it is Labor Day here in Canada, and I know other countries it's also Labor Day. So thought it would be a good day to talk about some work stuff. So before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that Right Start Newcomer Services conducts business in Chibuktuk, which is how you say Halifax in the Mi'kmaq language. This city is part of the ancestral unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This means that when settlers came, the Indigenous people did not surrender their territory and instead signed treaties with Europeans. As a business, we're committed to upholding these treaties as we continue to build relationships between settlers, newcomers, and the Mi'kmaq people. So welcome to the live stream, everybody. Nobody's on the live stream right now, but if you're watching the recording, that's awesome. If you're watching live, please say hello in the chat, answer questions, ask questions, say hi to each other. It's all good. So we're trying to create like a classroom experience here. So like I said, we're going to be talking about work today. So our topic is just to practice talking about work. And we've got a few activities. We're going to build our vocabulary. We're going to do some listening practice. We're also going to talk a little bit about Canadian culture. So I see somebody's here. It's not just me. Oh, Bay's here. Hey, Bay. It looks like a small class today, but thank you for joining. Is it Labor Day in Brazil, or do you guys have another day that you guys take off for workers? It's here in Canada. Like I said, it's Labor Day. Most people have a day off, but not me. I'm going to work today. So I thought, maybe it would be a fun thing for people to do, learn a bit of English on their day off with a coffee and maybe a nice treat. So is it Labor Day in Brazil? Is it Labor Day where you are? I'm curious to know because I know Canada and the US at least have a day off for Labor Day. Okay, let's get our presentation ready. One moment, please. I'm gonna close this. Okay, there we go. Okie dokie. Okay, Maria is here too. Hey, Maria. Good morning, everybody. So how's it going, Maria? Oh, tomorrow. Interesting. So your Labor Day is tomorrow. Interesting. Yeah, usually here it's on a Monday. I think it's always on a Monday, but interesting. It's on a Tuesday there in Brazil. Okay, so if you're just coming on, I was asking a question. Do you guys have Labor Day wherever you are in the world? Because here in Canada, today's a holiday called Labor Day, where pretty much everybody gets the day off. Stores are closed. People get a rest before, the fall and winter here. Very good. Thanks to our eternal Father. Okay, I think that's probably a reference to God. Okay, great. Yeah, and Bay said that in Brazil, tomorrow is a day off. So I didn't realize that, you would have Labor Day on a Tuesday because here it's always on a Monday. All right, good. So let's look at today's lesson. What are we going to learn? Why are we here? Why are you spending your time with us? So first of all, we're going to practice some discussion questions. I want to hear a little bit about what you guys do. So I know what a few of you do, but I'm interested to hear about more about your jobs, about your lives. We're going to do a cool brainstorming activity. So we're going to practice really quickly, try to identify some different jobs. Then we're going to work on some vocabulary together. So I think there's 10 work terms that we're going to learn today. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Canadian culture and whether these things are acceptable or appropriate at work or not. And then finally, we're going to do a little listening activity. You guys are going to listen to me talk, describing somebody's job, and then I'm going to ask you some questions about that. Okay, great. So Irene is here. Hey, Irene, it's been a little while since I've seen you at the lessons. So welcome back. I hope you're doing really well. And I hope you're ready to talk about work because that's what we're here to do. All right, so let's start with some questions. Usually we start the lessons with a few questions to get you guys thinking and sharing your answers with each other. So I came up with 5 questions. When did you get your first job? And what was it? So probably you're not doing the same job that you did as your very first job. But what was your first job? When did you get it? So for me, my first job, I guess I was about 15, and I was working at a landscaping company. So, I cut grass and I worked in their nursery. So I got to work with my hands and work with plants. It was a great job. Got to be outside most of the time, but the pay wasn't that great. So the pay was really low, but there were some really good things about that job. Second, what do you do now? So right now, I have my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. Why do I do that job? I do this job because I love helping people. And, mostly I help newcomers to Canada and immigrants. I find that they're really, really friendly and they need a lot of help because it's confusing and it's hard for them to find work and learn English. So there's a lot of need for what I do. Number 3, what would you do if you could do any job? Okay, this is an interesting one. So what would you be or what would you do? So for example, I would be a movie star because I could make a lot of money and travel around the world and work with other movie stars. Okay, number 4, this is another interesting one. Is it more important to love your job or make a lot of money? I don't know. That's a hard one. I think they're both pretty important, right? I think making money, of course, is important to support your family, but it's probably more important to love your job. So I'm of the opinion, if you love your job, money will come, and don't worry too much about the money part. And finally, what is the worst thing about your job? So what do you not like about your job? Every job has a few things that you don't like about it. So maybe it's the pay, maybe it's the hours, maybe it's your boss. Although hopefully your boss is not watching this live stream if you say that, because they say, oh no, Irene doesn't like the boss, so she's in big trouble. So think of those questions, answer one of them, all of them. Yeah, it's always interesting to share and to learn what the other viewers are thinking about their job. So I'll give you a minute to think about that, and then you can start putting your answers in the comments section. By the way, if you're watching after, feel free to keep answering tonight, tomorrow, 10 days down the road, and I will respond to your answers and questions. Okay, so who's going to be first? I'll give you guys a second. Okay. Okay, so Bay has a big long answer. That's awesome. So I've been working with the same thing since 14 days ago. 14 days? That's it? You've only been doing this job for 14 days? Okay, I worked as a psychologist in the past. Okay, only for a few months. Very interesting. I can't deal with people. Yeah. Now I am an artist. Okay, I make some realistic dolls for collectors. I do it because I love it. Okay, that's awesome. So it's great to hear you found something that you love doing, Bay. And I've seen your work. Your dolls are amazing. So if anybody is looking for a very realistic doll, contact Bay. She will make you the most beautiful dolls I've ever seen. So if I could do any job, I would do mine. So she's happy. You're happy doing the job, and it's years, no problem. I was thinking that, 14 days is a really short time. So Bay, I'm really glad to hear that you like your job. You're doing exactly what you love. That's awesome. I can't say there's a whole lot of people that are actually doing what they love to do. So it's great to hear that you love what you do. I also love what I do. I wish, I could make more money, but, I just started the business. So down the road, I think the money will come. So thank you, Bay, for answering. Excellent answers. Does anybody else want to answer one or two or three of these questions? So these are, pretty common questions you might discuss with somebody. Maybe you meet someone new or you're talking to people at work. These are some of the types of questions you might encounter. Okay. If I don't hear from anybody, we're going to go to the next one. 5, 4, 3. Oh, hey, Tanvir. Hey, Tanvir. Good morning. Tell us about your job, Tanvir. So what are you doing these days? I know you're into IT and computers and stuff. Tell everybody a little bit about your job, Tanvir, if you don't mind, before you take off for the day. All right, I'll give Tanvir a second to answer if he's still here. Maria, what about you? What do you do? What was your first job? What would you do if you could do any job? Is it more important to love your job or make a lot of money? And what is the worst thing about your job? Or maybe you don't have a job, right? Maybe you're not working right now, but it is a job trying to find a job because it takes a lot of time to make a resume, apply for work, go to interviews. So basically looking for a job is like a full-time job. Okay, great. Yeah, you guys can keep answering. We're going to go to the next slide. Oh, there we go. Tanvir. Okay, so I am working in a printing industry where I do a bit of wide format printing and provide them with IT support at my work. I absolutely love it, Ian. Okay, that is awesome. So printing company. All right, so you do printing and you support them with the IT stuff. I knew you were working with computers and doing IT stuff, and I'm really glad to hear that you love it. So like I said, not a lot of people love what they do, but Tanvir and Bay, you love it. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Tanvir. Great English. Great job. So let's move on to the next one. This is actually a really fun activity. So we are going to think about work. We're going to think about jobs. This is a little game that we play in an English class where you have to think of a job for each letter of the alphabet. Some will be easier than others. So let's start with jobs that start with the letters A to M. So for example, can you think of a job that starts with A? I'll give you a clue. Bay's job starts with A. Okay, so Maria has an answer for the last one. So Maria says, I worked in a port in Lazaro Cardenas, Michoacán, I don't know how to pronounce that, in the Institute of Agriculture. Okay, very interesting. So was that your first job, Maria, or is that your current job? So because you said worked, I think it's in the past and you're not working at that place anymore. Is that correct? Okay, excellent. Thank you for answering. Okay, great. So we have our first word. So Bay said artist. Let's write that here. artist, but there could be others, right? You could say like architect, art teacher. What else? Acrobat in the circus, right? So there are more than one answer. You guys can just throw it in there. If you have think of one for any of these letters, put it in the chat section. Okay, awesome. Irene has an answer to the previous page as well. So my first job was an office manager at a company where my father was the boss because it was good experience. Okay, great answer. I was wondering, how could your first job be an office manager? Because that's a hard to get job, but your father was the boss, so maybe it made it easier to get that job. Okay, great. So your answer, Maria, it was the first. Oh, that's a good one. Aeronautical engineer. That's a great one, Tanvir, but we already have one for A. Bay has one for B. Bank officer. Okay, let's put that in. Bank officer. Great. Oh, another one. Carpenter. Good. Awesome. So somebody who works on houses, maybe usually works with wood, is a carpenter. A bank officer, of course, is someone who works in a bank. Great. Let's keep going. Think of some of the other ones. You can start with any letter you want. And let's just brainstorm some more jobs that we can discuss. Carpenter. This can be really fast, right? You can put any of those jobs in there. Some of them are a little bit tricky, like J. What's a job that starts with J? Oh, I just thought of one. Or K. What's a job that starts with K? Kite maker? I don't even know. But anyway, you guys put your answers in. Let's make our list, and then we'll move on to the next page, which is the rest of the letters. Okay, good one, Irene. D for designer. Great. So it could be like a fashion designer. So I think that's what you do, right, Irene? You're a designer, dentist. So good work. Jocelyn said dentist. Doctor, there's lots that starts with D. Dancer, okay. All right, that's enough for D. And then E, engineer. Great. Awesome. And Maria, so I was the inspector of all the products that arrived. So again, we should say D, arrived in the port. And I was very happy because I loved inspections. I loved doing inspections. Great. So just remember, it's all in the past, right? This was your job before. So I was an inspector of all the products that arrived in the port. And I was very happy because I loved doing inspections. Okay, great. Bay said fireman. Great, but usually we want to say something that can also apply to women, right? Because it's not only men who do that job. There are women who do that job. So what would we say, Bay, instead of fireman? What's the term that includes, both men and women? So fire something. Whoops, what did I do? Oh, crap. I lost all our words. Anyway, let's pick up from F. Fire person. Okay, close. Actually, we would say firefighter. Instead of fireman, firewoman, or fire person. Exactly, Bay. So let's say firefighter. That is the correct term. Very good, Jocelyn. You got it too. Sorry, I deleted A, B, C, D, and E, but let's keep it going. So how about G? What's a good one for G? General in the military. What's another one? Guide. Oh, good one, Tanvir. Okay. Tanvir is on the ball today. Guide. So, like a tour guide. So, part of my job is a tour guide because I show people around Halifax. So, yeah, that's a great one. Okay, good. Bay, maybe I'll let you explain. Why do I keep doing that? I'll let you explain what a gynecologist is. I don't know if I have the vocabulary to explain it. Gynecologist. So a gynecologist is a doctor. So a doctor that specializes in females' parts of their body. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, Bay, you're laughing. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Let's move on. So, where are we? H. Tanvir says you're on fire. Oh, that's a pun, right? A pun it's like a joke, but it's using words, right? So the joke is he said firefighter, and I said you're on fire, and he LOL'd because firefighter. We would call that a pun. Okay. So, any others? Let's say H. How about, someone had a good one for G. Gallery director. Very good, Jocelyn. So, I like that one too. Quickly, what about H, I, J, K, L, or M? You wrote Zara, Amiri. I know Zara, so it's not really a job title. Maybe you were just tagging her and you wanted her to join the lesson. That's cool. So quickly, let's go through a few more. Let's get at least 2 or 3 of those, H, I, J, K, L, or M. Handcraft person. Okay. There is like a handy person or someone who makes handcrafts. So handy. Yeah, used to be we would say like handyman or something. But again, you don't want to say man because could also be a woman. So let's just say handy person or someone who makes handcrafts. Oh, we have other ones. Hacker. Okay, good, Fanny. Hacker is a good one. Somebody who hacks computers and the head of a firm. Okay, I like that, Irene. So the head of a firm. Anyway, I don't want to spend all class going through these, but maybe that's a fun activity you can do at home. Write the letters. It could be for anything, right? So you could do it for jobs. You could do it for verbs. You could do it for places. And then brainstorm. Try to think of one for each letter. So this is a good way to build your vocabulary. Think outside the box a little bit because we might always think of the same ones. This is a way for us to expand it a little bit and open our mind a bit and think about other words that we might not have thought of before. So I interpreter, that's great. Oh, good one, Fanny. K9 trainer. So for K9, if you don't know, K9 is like a dog. So it's a special unit in the police force where they use dogs to try and, train them to catch the bad guys or girls, bad guys or bad girls. Yeah, that's a great answer. I like that a lot. Oh, I don't know that word. Licenciatura, but I don't remember now how to say that in English. So I'm not sure what that one would be. Something to do with licenses. So maybe someone who, I don't know, gives people licenses. Okay, lawyer, that's a good one. Great. J, journalist. Okay, let's move on. So if you want to do the rest at home, go for it. It might be a fun activity. Also, if you're helping your kids learn English, this might be a fun activity that you can do with them. Oh, wow. Good vocabulary. Kinesiologist. So that has to do with sort of the bones and muscles and the movement of the body. So great. Okay, so we got some work done on brainstorming. Let's move on to some vocabulary work. So these are all words that have to do with working. Let's try to go through and think of the right word. So, for example, let's do number one together. The money you earn for working. What would we call this? Actually, there are two words, depending on whether you get paid for the year or if you get paid by the hour. So, by the hour, we use one word. For the year, that's another word. Okay, so Canveer, you like it. This is a really excellent exercise. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Sorry we didn't have enough time to go through all of them. Okay, great. So we have two answers here. So salary or wage, and Bay said salary. Fanny said salary. Okay, so you're right. There are two terms. So why do I keep doing that? Salary or wage. So there is a difference, right? And if you work for, like, you get paid depending on the year. Like, for example, you work, probably at a law firm as a lawyer, you work as a doctor, you work as a dentist, you work as an accountant. Those jobs, you're probably going to make a salary. And it doesn't necessarily have to be really high, but you're paid. It doesn't really depend on how many hours you work per week. Usually you have the same number of hours that you're expected to work per week, but you get paid for the entire year. Doesn't mean you only get paid once during the year. You get paid probably every 2 weeks or so here in Canada, at least twice a month. That would be a salary. On the other hand, a wage is where you work probably a different number of hours each week. You're paid by the number of hours that you work. So could be like $15 an hour, $20 an hour. That would be your wage. So depending on the type of job, you're either paid a salary or a wage. Okay, great. And number two, the time you work is your work time. Could be, yep. That's one way to say it. So work time could also say like maybe your schedule. Or could also say your shifts. So if you're working in a wage position, you have shifts. So you might have a shift morning until afternoon or evening or even an overnight shift. Your schedule is the time that you work, but we can also say work time. So I like that one too. Okay, how about number three, the people that you work with? I can think of two terms for this. So someone said, Bay said coworkers. So definitely coworkers are the people you work with. What's another word for coworkers? And it also starts with C. C-O. Good, Fanny. You said shift. Coworkers is correct. I'm not sure what that means. Jornada laboral. Is that Spanish? Sorry, I'm not quite sure what that one would be, Maria. Okay, good one. Irene got it. So, colleagues. G-U-E-S. So that's an A. So, colleagues is a great word. Means the same as coworkers, basically. So your work people, the people you work with are your coworkers or your colleagues. Great. The people who, or the person who tells you what to do. I think Bay said it here. It's your boss. Are there other terms we can use for a boss? Maria, great. You said manager. And yeah, so manager, boss, supervisor, right? Depending on the place, could be a supervisor. So any of these could be used in that situation. Okay, so the company who employs you. What about that one? Number 5. What would we say the name of the company who employs you? Oh, good one. Foreman. Again, can we say foreman? Maybe foreperson. I don't know. That's a tricky one. I've only really heard foreman. But if it was a woman, would it still be a foreman? I don't know. Maybe foreperson. That's a good one, Fanny. You stumped me. That's your homework, Fanny, to see if we call them foreperson now instead of a foreman. Awesome. Number 5. So the company who employs you, we would just say that that is your employer, right? You are the employee. Your company is the employer. Okay, so a little difference, employee versus employer. 5, the same company. Sure, you could say company, right? My company, or yeah, my employer would work as well. How about number 6, the money you receive when you retire? So after you finish working, you might still get money from your company, or they help you set up a special plan to save for your retirement. So what is that called? Pension. Very good. Pension. I hate that. Okay, so that is your pension. Sorry, I erased all these again. Time you work is your shift. People you work with, colleagues or coworkers. A person who tells you what to do, boss, manager. Company who employs you is your employer. And where were we? Number 7, when you work less than 30 hours per week. Bay already got it. You're too fast, Bay. You're getting all the answers, but that's great. This is a part-time position. So part-time job or position. Great. So in Canada, it's usually around 30, maybe 32 hours. If you're less than that, then you're considered part-time. Usually full-time is 32 to 35 hours or more per week. There is no maximum. You can work as much as you want to work as long as you agree on it. But they have to give you at least 1 day off per week. So is it part-time or part-time? That's interesting. So good question, Fanny. So this is more of like a grammar type of question. So it depends. It depends. Both of them could be used. And I'll show you the difference. Okay, so if you use it like an adjective before the noun, so like a part-time job, it should have a hyphen in the middle. So like this one, part-time job, because it's before the noun that it's describing, we have a hyphen. Instead, if you wrote something like this, so I work part-time at a movie theater. In this case, Fanny, it's not coming before a noun. So it's not an adjective before a noun, right? So it's not part-time job, part-time position. We just use it as a general term to describe when we work. So I work part-time at a movie theater. In this case, you can see there's no hyphen. So part-time job, hyphen. If we just say I work part-time, then there's no hyphen. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, great. A few more questions. A profession that someone trains for. Okay, so someone goes to university or college. This is a job they probably do for most or all of their lives. What would we call that? Okay, good guess, Bay. So trainee, somebody who is in training would be a trainee. So while they're still learning, so maybe the first few months they're getting, they work at a place, or even the first few weeks, they would be a trainee. But I'm thinking more the profession or what they do for their life. Coucher, I'm not sure what that one means. Train driver or conductor, good guess, Maria. Apprenticeship. Oh, okay, I like that one. So yeah, sure, let's say apprenticeship. So I like that one. Apprenticeship, that's not exactly what I was thinking, but that one works. Or I was just thinking like career. Like your career is something that you train for, that you do over a lifetime. Okay, great answer. I like apprenticeship too. Coach, okay. Well, a coach is somebody who trains somebody else, right? They teach them how to sing or dance or play a sport or something like that. But I was thinking like career, but I also like apprenticeship too, because that includes the training that you do to do a certain type of job. Okay, let's do the last two, number 9. So a period of time after you get hired, usually about 6 months, where you must prove yourself. So this is a short period of time where the company can fire you without any reason. So they say, okay, Lisa is not doing a good job. She doesn't know what she's doing. She has a bad attitude. We are going to let her go. Okay, so Fanny got this one. It is probation. Awesome. Sorry, my writing's really messy. I'm trying not to erase everything. And then the last one, so probation was number 9. The last one, to get a better job at the same company, is called so let's say I'm working as a teacher and then I want to get a job as a manager at the same company. What would that be called? And Fanny, very good. You're doing great today, Fanny. It is a promotion. Super. So a promotion is where usually you get more salary, you get a better position, more responsibilities. That is a promotion. Okay, great. So we learned some new words. Just to review, the money you earn for working, salary or wage, depending on the position. Time you work is your shift or schedule or working hours. People you work with are colleagues or coworkers. The person who tells you what to do, besides your mother or your wife or your husband, the person who tells you what to do at work is your boss or your manager or your supervisor. Number 5, company who employs you is your employer or your company. Money you receive when you retire is called a pension. Number 7, when you work less than 30 hours a week, that is part-time work or part-time job. A profession that someone trains for could be an apprenticeship or a career. Period of time after getting hired, usually 6 months, where you must prove yourself, is your probation or probationary period, they call it. And finally, to get a better job at the same company is called a promotion. Okay, great. So hopefully that helped you learn a few words, practice your spelling a little bit. Let's move on and talk a bit about Canadian culture. So I just have some situations that I could think of. Do you think these are acceptable? So is this okay to do at work or not? Sometimes it depends, right? Depends on where you work. It depends on the job that you do. Generally, just say yes or no. So for number one, is it okay to show up to work 10 minutes late? So yes, it's okay to show up 10 minutes late for work in Canada, or is it not okay? And if you do that, you might get in trouble, you might lose your job. So for number one, I would say no. It's not okay to show up 10 minutes late for work very often. If you do it once, maybe your boss is cool, but usually it's not okay. Maria says yes, no problem. So probably in Canada, at least, I would say it is a problem. And most of the time, your boss is not going to like it. You would probably get in some trouble. But if it only happened once, I think that's fine. So Shohili, hi Shohili, she says it's not okay. So maybe you have some experience where you showed up 10 minutes late. Your boss is probably going to be angry and you may lose your job if it happens a lot. Okay, so I agree with you, Shohili. I think it's really not acceptable. It's not okay. You have to be on time. So it is important that you're on time for most jobs, right? I mean, some jobs you have a lot of flexibility. Might not matter if you come in 10 minutes late because you can work 10 minutes late at the end of the day. How about number two, using your phone at work? So if you're sitting there on your phone when you're supposed to be working, is that okay in Canada? Good answer, Fanny. So it's better to be 10 minutes before or 10 minutes early than late. So earlier is better if you can be 10 minutes early. That's great. And your boss is going to see that and they're going to say, whoa, Fanny, showing up 10 minutes early every day. Let's give her a promotion. So more money, more responsibilities. Earlier is better, always. Number two, it depends on the work. So that's a good answer, Irene. So a lot of these depend on the job. Generally, I would say using your phone at work is not really allowed unless it's part of the job. So if you're talking to customers or clients on the phone, that's probably fine. But if you're sitting there, playing on Facebook or Instagram or watching TikTok videos during your work shift, you're going to get in trouble. So probably your boss is not going to like that. And I agree with that, Shohili. So maybe only for emergencies should you be using your phone. That being said, everybody does it, right? Everybody uses their phone at work, but make sure your boss isn't watching. So maybe go to the bathroom and then you can check TikTok in the bathroom. You don't want to do it sitting at your desk where other people can see you. And actually, sometimes this is a little bit unrelated, but they actually watch what you're doing on the internet. So they know when you're on Facebook or they know when you're on YouTube. So be careful that your company doesn't track what you're doing on the computer. And always do professional things on your work computer. How about number three, asking your coworkers about their salary? So is it allowed? Is it okay? Can you do that? Oh, interesting. So in your experience, Marina, the company you have to give the cell phone when you start to work. I like that, actually. I haven't heard that happening in Canada, where you actually have to hand over your cell phone when you start the workday. But I bet a lot of companies would be much more productive if they did that. Okay, so Shohili says it's not okay asking coworkers about the salary. And Fanny says in Canada, asking questions about personal or private information, like how much you make, is not okay. It is rude. So I'm sort of in the middle on this one. I think, I have asked coworkers about their salary, right? If they're friends of mine. So we have to be pretty close, right? I'm not going to ask a stranger how much they make. Probably not going to ask my boss how much they make, but if they're my friend and we're working together for a while, sometimes I would ask because I kind of want to know, right? Are they making more than me for doing the same job? There's no law or rule really that says you can't discuss your salary. So if you think the person's okay with talking about it, you could ask. Maybe not in front of your boss or something, but if you're friends, then I think it's okay. So Irene says not okay. Shohili says if she's friendly, then maybe it's okay. Victor's late again. Hello, everybody. That's okay, Victor, right? It's okay to be late. Thank you for coming. That's the most important thing. So Victor, we're just talking about jobs and work and all that fun stuff because it's Labor Day. We're talking about right now Canadian culture and if these things are okay or not while at work. So we said number one, showing up late is bad. Using your phone too much at work is bad. Asking coworkers about their salary, probably not unless you are friends with them and the boss isn't around. How about number four, asking for a raise? So I'm going to go to my boss and I'm going to say, excuse me, Miss Krabappel, can I have a raise? I work really hard. I deserve a raise. I've been here for a year and a half. I haven't gotten a raise yet. Can I have a raise? Okay, so we're on number four, asking your boss for a raise. Okay or not okay? Okay, so Fanny says, good answer, Fanny. After a performance review, if I did great and achieved the goals, then yes. So I agree with that. So even you don't have to wait for a performance review. If you feel like you deserve a raise and you've been there for a while and you're doing a good job, it's okay to ask for a raise. So don't be shy about asking for a raise in Canada. Victor agrees with Fanny. Just make sure it's after the probation. So the probation is, like we said, 6 months. I would wait probably a year after you start a job to ask for a raise, right? After the year, go for it. Make sure you can explain why you deserve a raise. Make sure you show up on time. Make sure you do your job really well. And then I think there's no problem asking for a raise. They're not allowed to fire you for asking for a raise. So number four, go for it. And Irene, I agree with that. Okay, if you're good at your job. I agree with that. Quickly, we're running out of time. Number five, wearing shorts to work. This one, I think, depends, right? Really depends on your job. So if you're working at a bank, probably not. You're working at a doctor's office, probably not. But a lot of jobs are pretty relaxed. And some jobs have like casual day. So maybe Fridays are casual. So you can wear jeans, maybe shorts. You're not allowed to wear anything that is ripped or that has offensive words on it, but you can wear shorts in a lot of places. So it depends where you work. UPS is okay. So if you work at UPS, maybe you're a delivery person, they wear shorts because it's really hot in the summer. So I think it depends on the type of work. So make sure you know the dress code. Every office, every workplace has a dress code. Make sure you ask about it on your first day. Make sure you follow it because you don't want to get in trouble for wearing shorts. I remember my old job, I got in trouble for wearing jeans because it wasn't Friday and it wasn't the right day to wear jeans and it was so stupid, but I don't make the rules. You have to follow the rules. Okay, number 6, listening to music on your headphones while working. So Irene says no. Again, it depends, right? If you're doing your work on your own, usually it's fine to listen to headphones while you're working. If you can still do your job, if you can still hear people around you, I think it's okay. But again, it depends where you're working. How about number 7? I think that for me, I love formally how I'm going to wear it. So I think you're saying that you love to dress formally at your work, right? Okay, great, Maria. Victor, you're right. Again, it depends on the type of work. So listening to music, probably okay. Eating lunch at your desk, probably okay. Unless you work in like a laboratory or a medical setting, you might not want to do that. You might have to go to a special lunchroom where you eat. Dating a coworker. What about number 8? So Victor, you said definitely no. What question was that for? Eating lunch or dating a coworker? A lot of workplaces have rules about relationships in the office. Sometimes it's okay to date a coworker, sometimes not. Definitely, they don't want relationships between, say, a manager and an employee because they may give them special treatment, they may pay them more money, and a lot of places will have a rule about that. Not okay if you're married. Very good point. You shouldn't be dating coworkers, shouldn't be dating anybody if you're married. But, it is common for coworkers to date that are not married because you spend a lot of time in the office and you meet coworkers. So it does happen. Usually it's not against the rules, but like I said, you can't date a manager. So it is a difficult question. I think it's okay if there's respect. You have to be very careful, right? Because you could be accused of sexual harassment or workplace harassment if you say your coworker is beautiful or something like that. So I would stay away from it if possible. But a lot of places it's not too strict about that. Swearing. So number 9, saying bad words at the office. Is it okay to swear, say the F word or the S word while you're at work? And this is back to the last question. If you meet your love on the job, maybe it's okay, right? I think it is good let's go back to number 8 for a second. You should find out the rules about this in your workplace. And then if something happens, you have a relationship, maybe you want to go and talk to your manager and tell them that it's happened. Victor said no. Shahili said no. No, if you listen to headphones at work, it may be you're going to do an accident or do bad work. That is possible, right? So if it's a dangerous situation, you don't want to listen to music. Swearing, again, depends, right? Depends on what your manager is doing, what your coworkers are doing, whether that's something that happens in that workplace. Generally, I would say no. Don't swear unless you hear your boss swearing and coworkers swearing, and then why not? Everybody else is doing it, so why shouldn't you do it too? Definitely, you don't want to do it with customers or the owner of the company or something like that around. But see what it's like. What are other people doing? If it's okay for them to do it, then it's probably okay for you. And then finally, number 10, quitting your job without notice. This is a big no-no. So we don't do this. You shouldn't do it. You need to give notice. Actually, it's a law in Canada. Once you pass your probation, you need to give 2 weeks notice at least. So tell your manager, usually in writing, write them a letter. Say, I'm going to be leaving this job on this date. You don't need to give a reason, but you do need to give notice when you are leaving a job, unless it's during the probation period. If it's during probation, you can leave without giving notice. On the other hand, they can fire you without any reason or notice. And you're right, Fanny, 2 weeks notice at least. If you've been there a long time, it's better to give more. So if I've been working somewhere for 10 years, maybe I want to give at least 3 weeks or a month's notice. And then Maria has an answer for 7. Again, because you're going to dirty the paper or the computer or your area of work, yeah, you want to be careful and make sure you don't get it on any important documents or the computer. They might have a rule about working and eating at your desk. So very quickly, actually, I don't think we have time for this activity. We were going to do an activity. I was going to describe a work situation. You would have to answer questions. Actually, let's just do one really, really quick. Okay, so I'm going to read a short paragraph. You guys answer these questions, and then we're finished for today. So here we go. I'm going to tell you a little story about a person. I want you to listen for their name, what's their job, where do they work, what are their responsibilities, how much money do they make, and do they like their job? Okay, so I'm going to tell you about Tina. Tina works as a cashier at Walmart. Her responsibilities are to scan products, accept payments, and put items in bags for customers. She makes minimum wage. She doesn't really like her job that much. Instead, she wants to go to university to become a vet. That's it. Did you catch that? So I'll read one more time. You guys put your answers in the comments, and then that'll be it for today. So one more time, I'm going to tell you about Tina. Tina works as a cashier at Walmart. Her responsibilities are to scan products, accept payment, and put items in bags. She makes minimum wage. She doesn't really like her job because she wants to go to school to become a vet. Okay, so who did I tell you about? What's her name? What's her job? Where does she work? What are her responsibilities? How much money does she make? And does she like her job? So, Maria, you are right. Her name is Tina. Perfect. What is Tina's job? Tina, you got it, Shohili. Great. What is Tina's job? And where does she work? Okay, let's go fast. It's lunchtime. I'm getting hungry. Where does Tina work? And what is her job? Okay, Victor is on the ball. Okay, Tina, cashier. Why does it do that? Tina, cashier. Where does she work? Walmart. If you guys don't know what Walmart is, it's a big store in many, many, many countries. What are Tina's responsibilities? So scan products. Good. So scan products. Also, she accepts payment. Accepts payment and bags items, or puts items in the bag afterwards. Organizes them, minimum wage, and no. So how much money does Tina make is minimum. Does anybody know what the minimum wage is here in Canada? Actually, it's a little bit difficult because the minimum wage is set by the province. So depending on the province, if you know about Canada, Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. So the provincial government sets the minimum wage. So minimum wage where I am in Nova Scotia is different from Ontario or British Columbia or Alberta. So good answer, Victor. That's exactly right. It depends on the province. Here in Nova Scotia, what is it, Fanny? $12.75. So $12.75 per hour. It is, yeah. Did they increase it recently? Here, let me just quickly check. Oh, it went up, Fanny. We're lucky. It's now $12.95. So extra 20 cents per hour, but it's not a lot of money, right? This is enough maybe for like a meal at McDonald's. It's not a lot of money. So minimum wage is not that great. Some places it's higher, like Alberta, I think, or Ontario, it's $14 or $15 per hour. So some provinces, they pay a lot more than places like Nova Scotia. I think Nova Scotia is the lowest. And finally, does she like her job? No. Okay, great. So this is just a short little practice activity. What I would do is encourage you to practice talking about your job, right? So for somebody that you meet, maybe in an elevator, at a party, at a coffee shop, prepare these types of questions and your answers. So my name's Ian. I work at Costco. I'm a logistics manager. My responsibilities are to coordinate the shipping of different products and blah, blah, blah. We wouldn't talk about how much money we make because we don't really talk about that in conversation. But we usually talk about, do we like our job? What do we like about our job? What's good about our job? So this is a really good way for networking, good for when you meet new people, and being able to talk about what you do and where you work is a very useful skill to have. So keep on practicing. You can go back and practice some of the vocabulary that we learned today. We did learn quite a bit, so it was a really packed class today. And time's up. So if you want more, you can go to our website. You can send me an email. And you can check out old lessons. So if you missed some lessons, go to the website. There's a list of all the lessons that we've had, and there are some quizzes and stuff on there too. So that's it for today. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll have another class on Thursday. So on Thursday, we're going to be talking about going back to school. So we're going to learn some good expressions for going back to school, how to prepare yourselves and your kids for school here in Canada. So I want to thank you guys again. You're very welcome, Victor. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your Labor Day, and see you next time.